Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. If it's Monday, it's How About Them Cowboys? Skip tells you why his Dallas Cowboys will be in the Super Bowl. Shannon believes the Chiefs will run the table and win the AFC West, not the Oakland Raiders. FS1 NFL analyst Chris Carter joins the debate to share his thoughts on why Ezekiel Elliott is the most valuable Dallas rookie. Plus, former wideout Chad Ochocinco Johnson is here to make the argument on why jumping in the Salvation Army kettle should not be a penalty. And former NFL GM, our friend Michael Lombardi, drops by the studio to tell us why the New England Patriots are the AFC Super Bowl favorites. Skip, are you fired up today?
I just want to ask you one small question. How about those Cowboys? How about Dak Prescott? Jerry Jones, how about that? How dare you doubt him, Jerry? How about my Dallas Cowboys at 12-2? Here they come. That wasn't about you. That was just about me.
No. That's
Sorry,
the tradition.
I just had to get that over.
Whatever.
Now it's up to you. Go.
Whatever.
You already apologized.
Yeah.
Let's get started. Chris Carter and Chad Johnson are coming up later in the show. Let's start in Dallas. How about them Cowboys? Ending the Bucs' 5-game winning streak last night, 26-20. Dallas has now won 12 of their last 13. Dak Prescott ran for a touchdown and was 32 for 36 throwing the ball, and the Cowboys' defense forced 4 Tampa Bay turnovers.
Woo.
So, Skip, you predicted the Cowboys would win, and you also said Dak would return to form and that Zeke would have a big game. How impressed were you by their performance?
I must admit that for long stretches of that game last night, I was extremely frustrated. It took maybe 2 more years off my life, and my wife, Ernestine, I'm pretty sure is going to file for divorce today after the way I acted last night. So you apologize to me. I apologize to Ernestine. Sorry. It's just the way it goes. But in the end of that football game, I was extremely impressed. Because after my Dallas Cowboys blew a 17-3 lead, and by the way, my Cowboys should have won that game by 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. But after they blew the 17-3 lead and they fell behind 20-17, 4 minutes left in the third quarter, this team showed me its character, its guts, its backbone. It showed me why it is going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. How about that Cowboy defense last night? I think it actually got a little overlooked because of the offensive explosion that we often saw last night. Mm-hmm. But how about a Super Bowl defense? That's what I saw last night, because from that moment that Tampa Bay sees that lead, Jameis Winston and company had 5 more possessions in that football game. Those possessions went interception, punt, 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 interception. Those 5 drives totaled 10 yards. That's all they gained. The rest of the game, that's almost 4 minutes left in the third quarter till the end of the game. Tampa Bay gained 10 yards. And how about Mr. David Irving, number 95, straight out of Compton, California, and maybe out of nowhere last night? He suddenly turned into Charles Haley and took the game over. I was extremely impressed. I had not seen that. I'd seen little bursts from David Irving, but not like that. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay's receiver, who can be mostly uncoverable, unguardable, caught 0 passes in those last 5 drives, thanks to my Cowboy defense. And in the end, my quote-unquote below-average Dallas Cowboy defense rose into a tie for 4th with your Denver Broncos defense for points allowed in the National Football League, tied for 4th. That's pretty impressive, and that will get you a ways in the postseason. Which brings me to the Dallas Cowboy offense and Dak Prescott. I'm going to say again what I kept saying last week and what I said before the game. Never in the history of the National Football League has there been more pressure on a rookie quarterback than there was on Dak Prescott last night when he was playing once again for his job at that point with an 11-2 record. And we talked about Jerry Jones last week, and then I saw Jerry, we had to all see him on Saturday, with his man Tony Romo sitting beside him in his box at Jerry World, watching his grandson win the state Texas high school football championship. Tony sitting right beside him eating popcorn the whole game, and it just made me sick at my stomach. It was so disrespectful to Dak Prescott, And obviously, Jerry last week reopened the door for Tony Romo to return now that he's completely healthy with that infamous paraphrase of a quote, "I'll know it when I see it," when it's time to bench Dak Prescott. And with all the weight of the Cowboy world on his shoulder pads last night, Dak Prescott opened that game against the hottest defense in the NFL over the last 5 games, Tampa Bay's defense, with 9 straight completions. Dak Prescott went 32 of 36 last night. That's sensational against a defense that had forced 14 turnovers over the last 5 weeks, and Dak himself turned it over 0 times. I thought his execution all night long was flawless. And just quickly, I want to refer to what I thought was the play of the game when they were backed up in jail trying to protect a 23-20 lead. 1st and 10 from their 4-yard line. It was actually 2nd and 5 at this point. And Dak stood tall in his end zone, stood strong, and threw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball to Dez Bryant on a slant that got them out of jail and on their way to the 26-20 field goal that nearly iced the game but didn't quite, which took another 4 years off my life after that. That offense last night drove me crazy because it committed negative plays that it hasn't all year long. There were 5 of them. There were 3 holding calls. There was a hands to the face call, and there was a botched reverse. 5 negative plays cost them touchdowns. And as you well know, all through, especially the first 10 games of the 11-game win streak, all they did was drive the ball. And I kept telling you, 11, 12, 13 plays, it's so hard to do to go score touchdowns after 13 plays in this league because you're going to make one mistake. Well, they made them last night. But because of Dak Prescott, he didn't make any of those mistakes. He stood tall, he stood strong, and that defense bowed up and bowed its backbone, bowed its neck, and showed you that it can take this team a long ways. I was so impressed that this team rose to 12-2. That was a make-or-break game for them to get back on track. Now they're completely back on track. I love this team, and I love this team's chances to make it all the way to Super Bowl Sunday.
How about I was not overly impressed, but I was mildly impressed. Reason for me is that when you look at the Tampa and you look at Jameis, you can't turn the football over 4 times. You can't headbutt a linebacker. And I'm trying to think, and as I'm looking at him doing it, I'm saying, you do realize that when guys run into each other at 15, 20 miles an hour and they get up, what damage do you think you were going to cause by headbutting him? You can't let your emotions get the best of you in that situation.
Obviously, he just said he was protecting his running back. So
how? Doing what? The guy didn't even.
I didn't think so either.
The guy didn't even turn around and point at him because he didn't even know what happened. That's how light of a tap it was.
Yeah.
And in order for Tampa to take that next step, Skip, because I think Jameis has the opportunity not to be very good, he can be great. He must improve on his accuracy, and he got to cut down on these turnovers. I mean, he was high and wide all night. And some of the turnovers, you're looking at him, you're like, well, Jameis, what did you see? Because when they replay it, I'm like, I didn't see none of that. Now, granted, he's in the heat of the moment. There's guys coming at him. But you can't afford to make those kind of mistakes in that situation. 3 interceptions, a fumble, a cost. So that's 20 turnovers on the season. 20. Trails only Phillip Rivers. Blake Bortles, and we know what a mess he is down in Jacksonville. He's cost the coach his job. But I will give Dallas this credit. Defensively, is that this is the time of the year, whatever unit that you think is maybe your liability or your weakness, you want to see that side of the football start to improve. And Cameron Irving, the defensive end.
David Irving. Yeah.
David Irving, straight out of Compton.
Yeah.
Hey, he needs to be playing that because he
should be playing. I agree. Yeah.
Well, Tampa's starting tackle was injured, Dotson. Cherilus came in. Cherry came in because they were just picking him clean. It got so bad, they ended up taking him out and putting the backup to the backup end. That's how bad Cherilus was. So I'm going to give them credit. They forced the turnovers. They got 4 sacks. They created 4 turnovers. And normally, Skip, if you're at home, you generate the kind of offense that the Dallas Cowboys generated. You get 4 turnovers. You sack the quarterback 4 times. that's normally a 42-14 shellacking.
Mhm.
So they should be a little concerned offensively because they weren't able to put more points on the board. But given the circumstances that Dak has been playing up under, he hears the whispers. He know what Jerry Jones wants to do. He saw Jerry Jones' grandson and Tony Romo Jones watching his nephew play. He saw that. That was all. I guarantee you, it was all over the Dallas TV stations, and Dak saw it. So for him to come out and play, because it's tough enough to play this time of year with so much is on the line, and then you have distractions that's generating from your owner that doesn't really need to be there. That just goes to show you what this young man is made of. So I was mildly impressed, but not overly impressed with what I saw with the Cowboys.
By the way, Jerry Jones told the Wall Street Journal last week that he's actually putting the pressure on Dak for effect, like it's box office effect, like he just wants to entertain the fans by bringing up Tony Romo, that he's doing it just for fun. Baloney. He doesn't. Baloney. You're just trying to weasel out of it. You're trying to spin your way out of it.
Exactly.
And I know Jerry loves box office, and he loves to be in the vortex of any controversy because it makes Jerry the star of the team. But he's having a hard time upstaging the fourth-round rookie quarterback because you keep saying this. The one thing you can do as the quarterback of a football team is you can just go make plays and win games. And it's hard to argue with that. You can't, it closes the door that Jerry keeps opening because you can't, what case could you make for Tony Romo starting next Monday night against the Detroit Lions? Now you can make zero case, right?
I never thought you could make a case because if you look at, and everybody wants to point towards 2014, but if you look at 2014, you tell me that Tony Romo throughout that whole season played better in a 14-game stretch than what Dak played.
I can show you 4 games that were nightmares, that were horrendous. And Dak had one bad game to me, a really bad game at the Giants. They lost it 10-7, and at the end of the half, a long field goal did hit the crossbar. That's how close that game was. And I'm going to say it, and you can laugh at me if you want to, but Eli brought it up right after that game. You people in the media don't understand how hard it was to hold on to that football because it was sloshy wet because it had snowed in the afternoon and then the temperature rose into the low 40s. So the ball was constantly wet. They couldn't catch it consistently, and Eli even had an empty hand throw where the ball just slipped completely out of his hand. So I'm going to give Dak a little break here as a fourth-round rookie. I think he had a hard time gripping the ball because I have not seen him remotely that inaccurate as he was against the Giants, and it held them to 7 points. Did he look inaccurate last night to you?
No.
Did you see
it was a lot of check downs, and that's what you have to do against a Mike Smith coach
that's
defense.
fine. That's fine. That's who he is. That's who they are.
No,
that's
but
what he does.
we still don't know how the game would have turned out had Dez held onto the ball. He got stripped. Dak put it in his arms. He got stripped of the ball. So we still don't. Last week in New York.
Thank you.
Even if they hold on to the ball, they go down and score. We're not even talking about Dak and how bad he played because at the end of the day, it comes down to wins and losses. So he could have easily gotten a win. But you have to admire the kid's patience because Tony Romo can't be this patient. Because this kid, okay, you want to give me 5? I'm going to take it. You want to give me 6? I'll take it. You want me to take the 2-yard route to Jason Witten? I'm going to take it.
He did.
Tony,
a bunch of them.
At some point in time, Tony's like, I can really get this 40-yard bomb in here to Dez. And the next thing you know, the safety's over the top picking the ball. And you're like, Tony, why did you do that?
I've lived it. Many Sundays, I have lived it. So bottom line, you have picked against my Cowboys now about 10 times on this show.
Yeah, a few.
And you're not sold. You seem hesitant.
I said, Skip. Joy, what was the question? Can you repeat the question?
How impressed were you with the
I
Cowboys?
just changed the question. I took it to another deeper level.
Okay.
That was our starting point.
What do you want me to answer now?
How far can they go in the playoffs from what you saw last night?
I think they can reach the NFC Championship game.
Lose at home? Because they are now in position A to have home field for 2 playoff games after a bye week.
2 teams, if they were to play in the championship game, I would pick over them. I would take the Falcons and I would take the Giants.
You would?
I would.
What happened to Seattle?
I forgot about my picks here. Thank you, Skip.
I thought you were flipping all over the place.
No. You already know. But I'm just saying,
so
you already know.
3 teams now?
3.
3 teams?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, after what I saw last night, I would love a third game against the
No,
New
you
York
wouldn't.
Giants. I would love it.
Do you know what Jack
Third
Rabbit?
time is the charm.
Do you know what Jack Rabbit would do to Dez?
With a dry ball in Jerry World, I would love it.
Do you like Dez only catching one pass per game?
By the way, Janoris got hurt last night, and I don't know the fate of it. I don't know how it's going to turn out.
You don't seem too unhappy about it.
Well, how can I be?
What you mean? How can you be?
I lost my best cornerback for the whole year. No more Mo Claiborne. Maybe he'll be back by then.
No mercy. The Cowboys are now 12-2 after beating the Bucs last night. Dak Prescott ran for a touchdown and was 32 for 36 throwing the ball. Ezekiel Elliott ran for over 150 yards and a touchdown. We're joined once again by Chris Carter. Chris, we'll get to you in a minute, but Skip, we'll start with you. Who is more valuable, Dak or Zeke?
I must admit that my man Chris Collinsworth ticked me off last night during the telecast. He's a good guy and a terrific analyst, but he made the case once again and shocked me late in the game by saying that Zeke is more valuable than Dak Prescott. It ain't even close to me. And the reason it isn't close is because of the positions the two of them play. Obviously, both benefit from the best offensive line in pro football. What position is harder to play? Obviously, by far, quarterback is harder to play, especially in Dallas, Texas, when you're a fourth-round rookie quarterback from Mississippi State who replaced an injured veteran star quarterback who is the pet of the owner and coach, quote-unquote, Jerry Jones, of the football team. So you have had Tony Romo healthy for the last 3 games, breathing down your neck, looking over your shoulder. The degree of difficulty goes through the roof. While Ezekiel, has anybody been clamoring for Darren McFadden to replace Zeke? I haven't heard it. Maybe they have been. Maybe Alfred Morris. Anybody's calling for Alfred Morris to replace Zeke after he fumbled early in the year?
McFadden is not Jerry Jones' sons like Tony Romo Jones.
You know what? You know, you're almost wrong about that. You're almost wrong because remember, McFadden went to Arkansas, and so Jerry's a big Arkansas guy, and he loves him some Darren McFadden, but not like he loves him some Tony Romo. But now back to the issue at hand. Through 14 games of an NFL schedule, the rookie quarterback leads the NFL in QBR. That's pretty great. You got to give him this. That's over Matt Ryan and Tom Brady.
He passed Tom Brady yesterday?
Yes, he passed both of them. Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. Well, Brady had a bad QBR because he had a tough time against a defense that always gives him a tough time. Well, there you go. All right. So
QBR, it's relevant.
So, look, this is a chicken or egg question, but Dallas has a bunch of weapons. I'm not saying there's one great weapon because Dez has just become another cog in the Dak attack right now. But when you can spread these people out, when you have little measly Beasley and Jason Witten running inside, and Terrence Williams can get behind people, and he will. They just don't try to do that very much. And Dez occasionally can get behind people and catch those 15, 18-yard slants.
In cuts,
right?
Okay.
So you have weapons spread across the ball, including Bryce Butler, that make it a little easier for Zeke to find a lane occasionally. It's just hard. You have to pick your poison with this team. It's not that easy to defend this offense. It all starts with the trigger man because he has to make a lot of quick decisions, a lot of quick reads. He protects the football like crazy. He's 20 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. And what I loved about him last night, he did not make a single mistake in that game that they had to win to get back on track. He had to win that game to keep his job. If they had lost it, you know and I know, Tony Romo would have been the starting quarterback next Monday night against the Detroit Lions at Jerry World.
Yep.
He pulled it off. He played, you could argue, his best game of the year, 32 of 36. And look, I love Zeke, but he's just free-flowing, man. He's doing what he did at your school, man. Just giving the ball, tossing the ball, flipping the ball, and he just does what God put him on this earth to do. And I take nothing away from that. But in that fourth quarter at New York, that game was hanging on 10-7. Zeke touched the ball 4 times for -1 yard. And Dak made one throw to Dez that I thought was going to break the game open, and you know what happened? He caught it, and he got hit, and he dropped it. Janor stripped him. And even last night, I told you the play of the game for me was they were in jail. It was 1st and 10 from their 4-yard line. They're protecting a 3-point lead with 6.5 minutes left in the game. First down, they hand it to Zeke, try to get him to bust one. He goes for 1 yard. Now it's 2nd and 9 from the 5. You are teetering, man. You are in big trouble because you have to punt out of your end zone. Jameis is going to take it home. You're going to lose this game. Boom, he throws a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on that in cut to Dez for 18 yards, and they're out of jail and on their way to the 26-20 field goal. I thought it was a big-time throw, a big-time play, and a big-time game by the kid quarterback. And to me, he is clearly more valuable, if for nothing else, because he plays the position quarterback.
I'm going to let you go first before I jump in.
Skip, you need to stop playing. I know you like Dak. You've been on this bandwagon for the longest. You said that
August.
You said when Tony went down that Dak was going to come in and going to hold the fort down until Tony came back. Well, he did more than hold it down. He held it down so well, Tony can't get his job back. But Ezekiel Elliott is a special rookie. He still has an outside chance to break Eric Dickerson's single-season rookie rushing record. Ezekiel Elliott on first down is averaging 5.66 yards per carry. So now
I never played no football, but does that help out the quarterback? I mean, I ain't real smart. Does that help out the quarterback?
now you got 2 more downs to get 4 yards.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
You get 2 downs to get 4 yards. And you, like you say Ezekiel is doing what he did at Ohio State. Now you just made CC in my argument better, because we never saw this from Dak. Because if he's as special as you say he was, shouldn't they beat Alabama at least once?
Oh, no, wait. He didn't have the Ohio State offensive line.
You go ahead. I'll let you have it.
Wait. Hold on just a second. Do you remember that national semifinal when Ezekiel Elliott ran for 230 yards? Wait a minute. On St. Nick's defense? Do you remember that? Maybe he was Ain't Nick that night. What happened? How did he go for 230?
That's what I've been trying to tell you. He's special.
Oh, well, we knew that.
He's special.
We knew it. That's why they picked him fourth
If you look
overall.
take Tony Romo's best season, 2014. Why was he like that? Because DeMarco Murray rushed for 1848. He, not Tony Romo, was offensive MVP. He, not Tony Romo, and Ezekiel Elliott.
Yep.
Say what you want to say.
Yep.
But without him, I like that. He's a guy, or as they call
Just
a
another
jag.
guy? Oh, really? Do we get that on tape? You just
a
called
guy. That's what
Dak
he said.
Prescott
Now, I'm not with him.
JAG as
I'm
in
not with
Bill
the law
Parcells
firm of
more,
Sharpe and Sharpe
just
now.
another guy.
No, if you take Zeke away from this offense, even if you put McFadden in there, McFadden can get 1,000, but he's not Ezekiel Elliott. Skip, Ezekiel Elliott is special. That anybody can rush for 1,000 yards, but there have been very few. When you start looking at great running backs in their rookie season, this guy is going to, when you look back at it, you're going to say maybe he had the best or the second best rookie season in the 97-year history of NFL football.
They go hand in hand. It's a very good argument, but Skip, when you're talking about pro football, the number one objective, besides winning, is get yourself a franchise quarterback. Like, besides a head coach, ask San Francisco, besides a head coach and the quarterback, those are the most important things beside who is the owner. Those are the most important things. So when you answer that question in Dallas, and that question has been answered for the next 10 years, who's going to be their quarterback, then it has to be slanted in Dak's favor. Because you've answered an age-old franchise question as far as the National Football League. Forget about the season, forget about the playoffs. We know who our quarterback in the future is going to be. Now, let me get back on Ezekiel, what he does, because you can't slight what he does.
I don't.
30 plays a game, the offensive coordinator don't have to worry. Scott Lanning, he don't have to worry about what to do. Because what they're going to do is give it to Zeke 20 times. They're going to throw it to him 5 or 6 times. And then they're going to fake to him 5 or 6 times. So as far as a game plan, Joy, let me teach you a lot of football. Half the game plan is already taken care of because of one guy. And he's that good. Ezekiel Elliott. Also, what does Zeke do? He takes a lot of that pressure that he thinks is on the quarterback. There's no more pressure on the quarterback in Jacksonville, okay? Blake Bortles, there's pressure on every position to play quarterback in the National Football League. But Zeke, he removed some of that pressure. All those draft picks you picked on the offensive line, first rounders, Zeke makes those worth your money, all right? So you can take over the game. So not only does he shorten the game, not only does he make your value and your picks better, he makes your quarterback better. You know that defense they had in Dallas that used to be raggedy? Made them a lot better. So I can understand from a quarterback standpoint who's more important. You said it's the chicken or the egg. Give me the chicken because the chicken can lay more eggs.
What hatch him? How you gonna get here?
The chicken is the quarterback, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. So, because the chicken can lay more eggs. You can get someone else to run the ball for over 1,000. Now, Zeke is special. But we're talking about at the end of the day, if I had to take one to move on as a franchise, I got to take the quarterback because it's going to cause me misery week in and week out.
You don't think it's a little more pressure on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback than Jacksonville?
No, that's Skip. No, there's pressure on every quarterback in there.
There's pressure on all quarterbacks.
No, look. There's
more.
pressure on Eli, and he's won 2 Super Bowls. There's pressure on Ben. He's won 2 Super Bowls. There's pressure everywhere. That's just a little hype. That's like if a wide receiver go to Minnesota because we've had great receivers. Oh, there's a great deal of pressure being on a wide receiver in Minnesota. No, just do your job. It's the same amount of pressure.
But people can't even name the Giants' backup quarterback because he's irrelevant unless Eli gets hurt, and he's been incredibly durable.
Yes.
But does anybody even know Ryan Nassib?
Because
it's the first time he's been brought up.
But Skip, we don't know. You're in uncharted territories now because you don't normally see a franchise quarterback lose his job like this. This was like Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe. So normally the starter, when he's done, they move on from him. But he got hurt before the season, so they couldn't move on from him. So they know who their quarterback is behind Dak. But now, moving forward next year, you probably not going to know who the backup is.
You can't compare it to Brady and Bledsoe because remember, Brady was 5-5, or the team was 5-5 when Bledsoe was declared healthy enough to return. And Bill Belichick just put his foot down and said, "No, I'm going forward with Tom Brady." And then they took off after that. So that young quarterback, and he was in his second year in the system, which is a whole lot different than your first year around, where you got thrown into the fire in game number 1, the first NFL game you played in. You had to start against a division rival quarterback by Eli Manning. And so I ask you, when you look back at last year, without Tony Romo and this very same offensive line, same 5 guys starting, okay? Lyle Collins got hurt, but again, Leary was starting a lot of the year also. Same 5 guys. They went 1-11 with other quarterbacks. Matt Castle, Brandon Weeden. This year with Dak Prescott. And Kellen Moore. So, that's right, at the end of the year. So this year with Dak Prescott, they are now 12-2 with the same offensive line. Did Zeke help a lot? Sure, he helped a lot. But again, it starts with the trigger man. It starts with the decisions he makes. Zeke just goes into a game. Do you think he's nervous before a game? He might be a little bit nervous, but once the game starts, Zeke just flows, man.
But Skip, that just goes to show you how bad those quarterbacks were. How ill-prepared they were.
Oh, my God. They were awful. That's not a good comparison.
It's the same thing that happened with Peyton Manning when he got injured. That was the exact same team, the exact same receivers, the exact same defense, and they ended up getting Andrew Luck. That was the same thing that happened with them. Normally, you don't get a team that has 3 all-pro offensive linemen get to select a running back. Normally, a running back of Zeke's caliber, he's going to the Cleveland Browns. He's going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Because Romo got hurt, and the backups that they had was so poor.
Like San Antonio.
Right. So
when they got Timmy Duncan.
So what happened was, Skip, is that now you got a guy that's competent. And he's more than just a guy. I think he can be a good player. Do I think he can be great, like Jameis? No, I don't think he has Jameis ability. Because if you put Jameis in that offense with that and put him in Tampa, you see a whole different ball game. That's what Zeke, look, nobody minimized John Elway because John was already great. But John's job got a hell of a lot easier when they got 30 back there. And I know, because I was there when 30 got there, and I played with 5 years before he got there. So I know what 30 could do. So if you don't think a franchise, I'm talking about this is a game-changing player. They select running backs all the time, CC, in the first round.
Yes.
But it's very few of them that can change the whole game.
One quick question. If Tony Romo had started the season, where would we be in week number 4? What do you think Dallas' record would be? If Tony Romo was healthy.
I think they would have lost 5 games. He's worth.
Now, Skip,
he's good for like 3 disasters.
I'll say they lose. I'll say they lose 3. I'll give them 3. I'll give them 3. I give them 3.
Now I got a question.
So you just automatically, they would have been better with Dak, right? Like, we just assume that.
Because I believe Dak is Tony will take unnecessary risk with the ball, and Dak is not at that point right now where he's willing to take those risks.
Right. The point of the season that I think was really be up for debate was earlier in the season when Dez was nicked up. How they got through that stretch with Dak
3 games
and Zeke.
with no Dez.
Yes.
And what happened? How many yards did Zeke have in those games? They rode that plow horse.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Going forward, just hypothetically,
Yes.
if I told you you could have one or the other going forward into next year with the same offensive line, you would take Zeke over Dak? You'd say, okay, I'll go with the running back.
For next year?
For next
Just going forward, what if you had to make a choice between the two for the rest, for the next foreseeable future?
Hey, let me go first.
Go ahead.
Man, Zeke is a freak.
Yeah.
You said next year, I got to take the running back because I
Okay, so
just,
you
I
give
just
up-
believe
you
I'm going to
already
find
said-
another quarterback.
You just said you
I
can't
understand-
find
I
another
un-
quarterback.
I
You said
understand-
you found one for 10 years.
I understand that, but I reserve the right to change my mind. But you said for next year, if we just take one player. You didn't say for a career. You just said next year.
So you want to go with Mark Sanchez at quarterback?
No.
Kellen Moore.
Hold
at
up, talk
quarterback.
about
Kellen Moore, is he still in the
What
league?
are my options? Hold up.
He's
gotta-
still there. He's
hold
on the sideline.
Oh,
Hey,
my
hold
God.
up.
If he gets
What
in the
about-
game, bad
okay,
things going to
if I
happen.
keep if I keep Zeke, what are my options at quarterback?
Well, you've got Sanchez or Kellen.
What about
Moore.
what's go back?
What about
Romo?
What about if I get Romo back?
Well, I'm just doing the hypothetical. If you had to choose one of those two going forward, you would take the running back.
I'm going with you.
I
I'm
don't-
going with the quarterback.
I
I
think
would.
you'd
I was
go
just
with the
messing with you. I would go with the
quarterback.
quarterback.
Either way, it's a good
He
problem
would go with
for
the
the
quarterback,
Cowboys
too.
to have. The Patriots easily took care of the Broncos yesterday, 16-3. With the win, New England clinched their 8th straight AFC East title. They are the first team in NFL history to do that. The Patriots now have a first-round bye in the playoffs. We're joined by former NFL General Manager Michael Lombardi.
Good
Spent the
morning,
last
all.
2
Happy
seasons
holidays.
Good morning, Michael.
You.
The Patriots front office. Welcome, Michael.
Well, good to be here.
Are the Patriots the clear favorite in the AFC?
You know, after the last 5 weeks, I would say the Patriots have improved significantly on defense to me to feel confident enough that they are the favorites in the AFC. I felt like the defense has finally established themselves and have defined the roles of the players correctly. The players are performing outstandingly. Look, Shea McKellen's playing well, Kyle Van Noy. There was a guy named Jamie Collins, I don't remember. You remember that
Yes,
conversation
yeah.
we used to have, that the whole program was going to fall apart once the Jamie Collins trade was made? I think it hasn't happened. I think they've improved. And yesterday, to me, was a symbolic win in this sense, that they were able to play left-handed and win. They went into the game with the idea that they needed a quicker back. Deion Lewis, they didn't want to play power against a power team. They wanted a quicker back. They wanted somebody, and they wanted to run the ball. They had 55 rushes and completions in a game where typically they're throwing it 50 times.
Right.
And that was what they did. It was a win for the ages. It was a win to show the NFL, if you want to play left-handed, the Patriots can beat you left-handed. If you want to play right-handed, the Patriots can beat you right-handed. And with the improvement of their defense, and as long as they can catch punts, I think the Patriots clearly are the favorites.
The favorites, maybe, clearly, no, because I really think there's really only 2 teams legitimately that possess the offense that can challenge their defense. And that's the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger, and that's David Carr. Now,
Derek.
Derek Carr, I don't know why I keep calling him that.
All right.
Derek Carr, because they have the weapons on the outside that can cause problems. And the thing is, and you watch this game, they basically play 22-man. Because they say, Trevor Siemian, we're going to force you to make tight throws. And plus, you're not going to run anywhere anyway. Even if we run past you, you're not going to break the line of scrimmage. And that was the way they played. So they are improving on that side of the football. The question is, are they the clear? I mean, clearly, it's a smooth sailing road, no bumps, 75 miles an hour, and you don't have to worry about cops pulling you over. I'm not going to say it's that clear. They probably can go 65 and not have to worry about anything. But I still believe the Steelers and the Raiders could cause them problems. I like Kansas City's defense, but I don't like Andy Reid getting a lead and then taking the air out of the ball in the second quarter. That concerns me about them beating the Patriots. But Ben, we know what he can do, and we know what Derek Carr with those weapons
Wait
can
a
do.
second. Earlier in the show, you made a strong case that Kansas City was a team to beat in the AFC.
No.
I thought-
AFC West.
Oh.
Stop trying to start. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. The question was the AFC West.
I thought it was the AFC.
No, it was not.
Oh, maybe I misheard.
Don't worry about it. We're going to play that tape back. You will get that tape
That's
played
the
back.
good thing about having
Yeah,
tape.
because you
can
know
play
what,
it.
Skip,
Hey.
you're going to sit over there and just go.
I don't know. I think you flip-flopped during the show, but it's okay. It's okay.
We'll
I got
prop
it.
him back up.
Yeah,
We'll keep going.
We'll keep him.
Boy, that's Skip Bayless.
Here's the point. Are you now convinced that New England's going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs?
Absolutely, yes, I am
so
convinced.
that means 2 potential games in Foxborough, Massachusetts,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So who can go in there and beat them? Can Kansas City, we saw this movie play last year, can Kansas City go in there and beat them in Foxborough? I say no.
No.
Could the Raiders hang in with them? Could they score on that defense? Some, but could they stop Tom Brady? Tom Brady would throw the biggest Foxborough party on the Raiders defense right now that you might have ever seen in a playoff game. He might throw for 500 yards on the Raiders defense right now.
Okay.
Unless the Raiders could control the clock with
Murray, Latavius Murray.
They'd have a hard time doing it if he's not going to go under center. If the Raiders are going to play a game in shotgun the whole time,
well, that's what
and
they're
they're
doing.
going to go to New England with sub-degree temperatures, that's going to be a challenge. We've seen David Carr below 40 degrees. It wasn't pretty. I think he still can't throw the ball. Derek Carr, you know, you got me on it.
now.
But so we haven't seen him be able to handle that. I think, to me, what yesterday showed was pace of the game is important. How you play the game is important. It was truly like, when you listen to basketball coaches talk about playing big games, they always say, if we keep this game in the 50s, we'll win. If it gets to the 60s, we won't. The Patriots played a game like a basketball coach yesterday. Belichick managed that game to where he was not going to allow his best player, Tom Brady, to throw it 50 times. He was not going to get into the strength of their defense and try to play that game. When they needed him to make a throw, he made one to Bennett. He made one to Edelman. He made the
Two
throws.
of them to Edelman. The
He made throws he had to make,
he
and they controlled this is a team of the 2004-2005 Patriots. They're not great on defense, but they can run the football effectively enough, and they can throw it when they have to. If you want to shoot them out and you want to go up-tempo with them, they'll be more than happy to do it. If you want to play a grind it out, and I think time of possession is going to be the key when they play a team like the Raiders.
Wait a second. You think they're just pretty good on defense?
I just think they're pretty good on defense.
They have the #1 scoring defense in the National Football League.
I know, and what's remarkable is the fact that they have done it and the roles of these guys, and they're improving. See, what I look at teams is, can you improve in November and December? Are you getting better? And clearly, this defense is getting better. Kyle Van Noy has come in and done a really good job. Couldn't play for the Lions and in that role, but they've defined his role. He's played well. Trey Flowers.
He flashed yesterday.
He flashed. Trey Flowers has been a consistent player. Malcolm Brown has been
Shear showed back up.
Sheard showed back up.
Out of the doghouse.
No one's asking the question about where's Jamie Collins. No one's asking that question anymore because they found a way to play.
Chandler Jones, for that matter.
Or Chandler Jones. They play team defense. Eric Rowe has played really well at corner. We'll not see Cyrus Jones again playing corner, so we won't see him catching punts anymore either. So that's over. So I think they're coming together, which is the best time to come together. It was to me, you said it about going into Denver. When you go in there, you're not going to win pretty. It's not going to be a pretty win.
No.
And I think the other thing is, and I think you as a Bronco representative, I think you really have to analyze, is Trevor Siemian good enough? And I would say the answer to that is we need a quarterback.
Yeah.
That's correct.
You can have whomever you want to, but what did the Patriots had Tom Brady last year, and when his line couldn't protect him, what happened?
But
I don't care how good your quarterback is. If you can't protect him, you can't win. Trevor Siemian made 3 or 4 throws yesterday that would have put them in position.
He did.
But he can't get,
they couldn't protect Manning last year either now.
Russell Okung, I think y'all only sacked him once, though, last year.
We hit Manning because he got rid of the ball.
Right.
He took a bunch of, he got rid of the football. That line last year, really, the 2 tackles were worse than this year, believe it or not. I know that's hard to imagine. But this is the way Gary has always set up his offense. It's a play-action pass offense. It doesn't want to throw drop-back passes, so they want to control. That's why the first quarter, when you play Kubiak or you play a Kubiak coach team, you have to win the first quarter. He wants to play with the lead.
Right.
His passing game on drop-back passes is very small because he's built around. He can't run the football this year, and that's the problem. And I think when you look at it, Siemian to me looks like like when you evaluate quarterbacks, 4 or 5 games, guys look good. 6 games, maybe not. When he has to play 16 games, there's too much flaw in his game to be able to carry 16 games.
I agree.
And I think he's a really good backup player. And if he had to go win 4 games and go 3-1, I think he could do it. But I think they need a signature player back there to make the throws and challenge the field, and I don't think Simeon's doing it.
But if you remember, there was a play in last year in the championship game. It was 3rd and 11. The Patriots played 22-man, and what did Peyton Manning do? He took off and run.
Right.
He ran. Trevor Siemian refuses to run, even though he knows it's 22 man. And
I didn't see any chances for him to run.
Oh,
I thought they had a good job of rush play. And I think that, like last night, I thought that the Cowboys did a really good job of how to control guys in the pocket. I thought the Bears were doing a good job of controlling Rodgers in the pocket yesterday with their rush, and then they slipped out and got out there. But for me, look, I think the Broncos know they need a quarterback. I think the Broncos know that. And I think the Patriots now know that they can play right-handed and left-handed, and they're going to be hard to beat.
What did Tom Brady try to do in the championship game repeatedly last year? He tried to throw the ball down the field, often to Gronkowski. What did he do yesterday? It was all short stuff until after a while, I'm screaming at the TV screen, throw it to somebody besides Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
But in the big picture, I told you earlier, Tom Brady reminded me of Tim Duncan, the great, he was honored last night in San Antonio because Duncan would always do whatever needed to get done for Pop and whatever the strategy was to beat this team. Does Manu have the mismatch here? Oh, let him shoot tonight. Let Tony shoot if he's got the mismatch. If I have it, feed me. The mismatch last night, there was really no mismatch because that defense is really good at Denver. But Brady was willing to say to Belichick, okay, I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to be efficient, but I'm not going to try to be spectacular. I'm not going to turn the ball over. They had 0 turnovers. I'm not going to feed that beast to that defense because if you try to throw it down the field and they start picking it off, they go berserk in that stadium and they will turn it right back on you. Because the defense is their best offense of this team.
It is.
They scored 3 points yesterday because Trevor Siemian couldn't get it in the end zone. I know they dropped balls. McCourty had a big hit on Demarius that just knocked the ball. That might have been at least a field goal.
Yep.
But the point was Brady was willing to swallow his ego and say, you know what? Oh, you want to feature Lil Dion today? Oh, okay, we'll do that. We'll let him touch it 20 times in this game. And we'll also let LeGarrette slam it in there just to try to soften up the midsection a little bit because he went 17 times for 31 yards. That's 1.8 a carry. But they needed him to soften up the middle because you raved about him earlier this year. He's coming back, and he can be electric, just skittering up the middle.
They can run it. They can run the football with no threat of the run last year. The Broncos played a lot of nickel, and they could get home with just 4. And they had 17 targets to I think it was maybe it was White last year at running back.
They did.
They split him out a lot. He had 17 targets to a running back because it was basically throw the ball to him or throw the ball to Gronk. But now that they can run the ball, see, people don't realize this. I still believe they missed Malik Jackson because Malik and Wolf could push the pocket and Brady couldn't step up anywhere. Those two guys could control the running game. So now Ware and Vaughn could get home on the edges. But now when you can run the football and play action, but you have to be, look, if you banjoing, what we call banjo, a combination coverage on Edelman, if you have outside leverage, if he starts inside, stay outside.
Right. Well,
if he's inside, stay inside.
That's a hard thing for corners to do. They always take the bait. But I think with your point there, what you just said about Von Miller, I think this is interesting for most of as the conversation moves forward. Von Miller and Khalil Mack are really good outside rushers. But if you can't win inside against a team like the Patriots, they are going to neutralize your best player. And they did that yesterday.
Marcus Cannon did a really nice job.
Marcus Cannon, almost every time they chipped, and what you call him was chipping on his way out.
This is the unknown secret to the Patriots' success this year is the offensive line. Those guys, those 5 guys have played together. They've played really well. Shaq Mason, to me, is a Pro Bowl guard. I think Marcus Cannon has been Pro Bowl-like in certain games he has. And I think when you look over the whole line and how they run block, Dante Scarnecchia has done a wonderful job that they control the line of scrimmage. And when you can control the line of scrimmage, again, they play right and left. This is an 0-4-0-5 type of team. Antoine Smith's not the back. It's going to be Blunt. They bring in Dion Lewis, who really is Kevin Falk. And so now you can start seeing the defining roles of this team. And then defensively, I think you could see that maybe Van Noy looks a little like Brewski, or, McKellen might be Brewski. And, and so now you've got this, and now everybody knows, and everybody's playing close together. And I think that's why they're going to be tough to beat. And they'll control the pace of the game. That game shows Pittsburgh, we're not going to get in a shoot match with you. We're going to control the game. That game shows the Raiders, this is how we're going to play it. And I think when you can play styles, you win in the playoffs.
You've been so positive about the Patriots today.
I know, because I liked what I saw. To me, it's always about playing a style. It's about like every week, it's not like last night, the Cowboys played a style. They did exactly what you had to do. They spread the field horizontally. They took the profits. They didn't. The only time the Cowboys messed up, that game was a lot closer than it should have been. Holding call. false start. You know, the Lucky Woodhead reverses were just like, I've seen enough of those. Like negative play.
Negative plays on
Right.
first down.
If they don't have negative plays, the Cowboys run away with that game. And to me, that tells you when you're a good team, you play style, you win.
Yep. No mercy. The Raiders held on to beat the Chargers
Come on,
yesterday
Buffalo.
and reclaimed first place in the AFC West. Oakland clinched their first playoff berth since their Super Bowl season in 2002. Derek Carr led his 7th game-winning drive of the season. So, Skip, Oakland now has a 1-game lead on the Chiefs with 2 games to go. Will they win the West?
Yes, they will. I'm going to say it again, as I've been saying week after week after week. How about them Raiders? That was impressive for all the wrong and right reasons yesterday. In fact, it reminded me a lot of the Cowboy game that followed it. It was another team, a young on-the-verge team that kind of hit and missed and hit and missed. And Chargers went ahead 7-0, then 10-3, then 16-13. And when it came fourth quarter time, all of a sudden, boom, boom, 2 field goal drives to win the game 19-16. Dallas won its fourth quarter 9-0. Raiders won their fourth quarter 6-0, and that told the tale of both of those games. In the end, the Raiders showed me once again resilience, character, guts, backbone, all the same things I said about the Dallas Cowboys. They showed me that they are going to win this division because away from Oakland now, this team is 7-1. 7-1. The one loss was obviously at Kansas City. Was that on Thursday night?
Thursday night.
Yep. In the severe wind chill when Derek Carr could not grip the football with his injured finger, obviously, and stunk it up the way Dak stunk it up at the Giants. So I do believe that the Oakland Raiders will now beat Indianapolis. I think it was a fluke what Indy did to Minnesota yesterday. I didn't see it coming. You must have.
I know. I didn't think they would. Not 34-6 after the way they got beat. Just
they got beat at home by the Houston Texans and Brock Osweiler for a second time this year, and then they did that. I thought Minnesota just gave up after about a quarter. They said, I guess this isn't our day, and just quit.
It looked like they quit. Okay. It really did.
So I think at home the Raiders will beat Indy. And speaking of quitting, I'm not sure where your Denver Broncos heads will be going forward. Again, they're going to play Kansas City. And they got an Oakland game coming up. And I just think Oakland's going to win out. I think they'll beat Indy and win at Denver. I just believe they will. They already beat Denver and Oakland.
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm still sticking with the Chiefs. I believe they run the table. I believe they beat the Broncos because here's the thing. If the Broncos couldn't block that Chiefs front at home with no crowd noise, how are they gonna get up on the snap when you can't hear anything? I still believe it goes between Denver and Kansas City as the loudest outdoor stadium. So you know Houston and D Ford and Tom Bahali will be jumping off the ball. I believe they will beat the Raiders at home because this is what we normally do, Skip. We're not going to the playoffs. You might be going, but we're going to send you there with a loss. That's their goal. That's their focus. Let's make sure that they don't go in the playoffs feeling as good about themselves as they possibly can. So they're going to spoil the Oakland Raiders going into the playoffs. Now, I do have a little concern because Andy Reid has been doing this his whole coaching career. Somehow he thinks that once he get a lead, he had a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and it doesn't matter what quarter it is, he takes the eye out of the ball. It's like, well, I don't really need to score any more points because I got the lead. But what he fails to realize that the team is behind, they're still trying to catch up. It's not like they're saying, well, they have a 10-point lead, we're done now. I don't know why he does that. And because the margin of error is so small, because Alex Smith, you know he's not going to take any chances. He's checked down Alex. One turnover is normally costly for that football team because they're not high risk, high reward. Everything is hand the ball off to Tyreek Hill, let him see if he can make a play. Let's get him the ball in space, jailbreak screens, smoke screens. Let's see how many times we can get him the football in space and he can make a play. Yesterday, there's no way they should have lost that game. There's no way they should. A 10-point lead at home against the Tennessee Titans. Just goes to show you the Tennessee Titans, they playing for something bigger than just to beat the Broncos at home and then go to Kansas City, that says something about them. But I'm a little disappointed with what I saw, but I just still believe Kansas City sometimes plays down to competition and then plays up to competition.
How can you defend the Chiefs when they've had 2 shameful home losses recently to Tampa Bay and Tennessee, and you're still on that bandwagon?
And they had the lead in both of those games. And Alex Smith, it's something about when he plays within the division. You know how, like, the Rams, they're, like, really good in the division? Alex Smith is really good in the division. And then when you take him outside of the division, it's like he doesn't know that they play football in Tennessee, or he doesn't know that they play football in Tampa. Like, oh, who are these guys? And the next thing you know, they're comfortable, they're in front, and he throws a costly interception. But I don't get what Andy Reid, look, when you get a team down and you're at home, that's when you try to speed ahead. You don't try to take the air out of the ball, once you get a 10-point lead or 8-point lead, but that's what he does. It cost him a lot of games in Philly, and it's cost him some games in Kansas City.
I think he cost himself on the last play of the game because he called timeout when he shouldn't have.
No.
Well, you know why? Because Suck Up said after the game, it's way out of my range. It was like 1,000,000 to 1 shot. Well, let him kick it. It's so cold. The ball's not
He already
flying.
frozen. It's already 5 degrees. How much colder you want him to get?
Just why would you, if it's a makeable field goal
Right.
from 40 yards
Correct.
in pleasant conditions, then try to ice him.
Because, and then the second time, as you see, he grunted. He's like, I got to
He
get
just said it-
and
he
he
wound
still
up-
only got it by 1 yard.
Oh.
But just leave it alone. And
Leave it alone. What are
sometimes
you doing?
guys, like I said, Skip, it's their gut.
Yeah.
And his gut told him, you know what, I should try to ice him here.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. And if that guy's going to kick a brick, 53 yards to beat me, so be it.
Yeah, but the first one was a brick because it looked like he was 8 or 10 yards short, right? And the game would have been over.
And that's what I'm saying. If a guy in those conditions, because that football feels like a brick. I've caught footballs in that condition. So imagine, you kicking it. His foot's numb too. So it's like he's kicking a brick. If a guy can kick a football that far in those conditions, so you got to just chalk it like a Vinatieri. When he kicked that ball in the division against the Raiders,
I was there.
the driving snow, the wind, Skip, you just chalk it. Good job, bro. Good job, dude. Good job.
Line drive.
That's it. That's all you can do. Because sometimes, hey, but I'm not giving you a second chance to see what you did wrong.
He was already iced, the kicker.
Yes.
Right? Literally iced.
Yes, it's 5 degrees. The guy's been sitting over there. You saw his face. I mean, talking to him after the game, I couldn't hear what he was saying, but his face is like blistering red.
It was.
And then you're going to call a timeout. He's like, thank you, Andy.
Yep.
I'm proud of you for sticking on a bandwagon.
I'm not
Staying
on
with
the
the team.
bandwagon. That's okay.
I think you are.
I just need.
It's all he's got left.
No.
The Chiefs.
I have other teams
Sad.
left. Seattle, where they going?
No, I mean in the AFC, right? It's your only hope.
Oh, the Steelers. I might get back on the
Yeah,
Steelers.
get back on
the
Hey,
Steelers.
Steelers.
You're
Hey,
shameless.
hold
do
up.
it. Yeah.
Ben opened the door. He asked me, did I want to get back on?
They forgave you?
I said, let me think about it.
I don't know about that. No mercy. Joining us now is 6-time Pro Bowler Chad Johnson. Chad, welcome to Undisputed.
It's good to be back. First off, I'd like to say I love you. I love you. And thank you for having me again.
Good to see you,
It's
man.
a pleasure, man. You look good. Both of you look good.
Thank
I
you.
know Ernestine dressed you
She
this
did
morning,
it.
too.
Chad knows Ernestine. And let me tell you, I missed you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
It's
it.
good to have you back, and we have the perfect topic for you.
Okay.
Yes, we definitely do.
Yep.
Ezekiel Elliott ran for over 150 yards with a touchdown in last night's win against the Bucs. After the touchdown, Zeke jumped into the Salvation Army kettle behind the end zone and received a 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty. So, Chad, you were known for your touchdown celebrations. Should this be a penalty?
Nah, most definitely. Most definitely not. For one, it's a part of the field. Therefore, he shouldn't have been fined. Therefore, he shouldn't have been penalized for it. And, I'm all for anything that has to do with a game that is supposed to be about entertainment. Anytime they try to limit or restrict anything that goes around and is built around the game that is supposed to be entertainment, I'm not for it at all. You know that. I'm
So-
sure your view will probably be different on it.
Well, I want you to finish, but scale of 1 to 10 on just creativity and entertainment value, what would you give that? Jump in the queue.
It probably somewhere maybe a 5 or so because it's been done before.
Has it?
Someone I think used the ball. They put the ball in.
Terrell Owens did, your
Yeah.
buddy.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's cool. I'm more so about creativity and doing things that are original and organic and authentic that no one else has ever done.
The river dance, right?
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
When you grabbed the pylon and putted the football, did they throw a flag?
No, sir.
Did you get a fine?
No, sir.
So that was So that was that's when they changed the rule because of you, didn't they?
Well, I wouldn't really like. I'd like to put that on T.O. They changed rules because of T.O. Don't put that on me.
Okay, but here's the thing. You remember how Jimmy Graham and Tony Gonzalez used to dunk the ball over the goalpost?
Yeah.
They outlawed that because they say that was a prop.
Yeah.
It's a part of the field, but they said it was a prop,
Right.
and you couldn't do it. But now, because it's the Salvation Army, see the problem that I have with the NFL and a lot of players have is the consistency. Now you pick and choose because the symbolic gesture of the Salvation Army kettle. Well, if we were to find them, that's going to be the optics of that is not going to look good. Although you have in place that you can't use any props in your celebration.
Right. Well, all of my celebrations, if I can think correctly, that were prop themed were also symbolic. The Mexican flag was salute to Mexico. The Hall of Fame was salute to those that have made the Hall of Fame, and sort of I think I'm at a point where I don't really need your validation. I feel I've done enough to be worthy of such. The Tiger Woods putt. Tiger Woods had just won something huge that Saturday or Friday, and that was a salute to him. The sombrero and the poncho, another salute to Mexico and some friends of mine.
But you on the sideline then. Once you get on the sideline,
okay, you're right. You're right. But again, the NFL is picking and choosing when to find, and because of the calls, and maybe because of what Jerry Jones also said in post game, I don't think they really wanted that because I think he was serious about taking it to the Supreme Court.
I have one quibble with you. When you put on the mock Hall of Fame
Right.
jacket and he has a real one.
Yeah, he's the real deal.
Yeah. I don't think you were honoring those in the Hall of Fame. I think you were suggesting that you belonged in the Hall of Fame.
I think I do, and I really don't need their validation. Those that do the voting, like the people that did the voting as far as Hall of Fame goes, were those that had to play against me. The defensive coordinators that had to deal with me throughout my tenure, I'd be fine.
Okay, but I told
listen,
you.
I'm not finished. Let me finish.
All right,
Let me
go
finish.
ahead.
Those that do the voting, they base getting in on so much other than your accolades that have to do with in between the lines. So much.
I agree. I mean,
So much that has nothing to do with the game of football, personality, character, all this other stuff. But if you look at the numbers and matching up to others that have made it, then I should be in there someday. It might happen when I'm gone, but it is what it is.
Do you think he belongs in the Hall of Fame?
I would have to look at his numbers.
Look at him. Look at him now. Where your phone at? Get your phone out. Look at the numbers.
I'm busy right now.
I get them for you. Hold on. Let me get the numbers for you.
I used to think I know what a Hall of Famer was.
Yeah.
When Chris Carter came up, when Derek Thomas came up, and I see guys, and I'm like, we game plan for these guys. I played against Derek Thomas about 20 times, twice a year, and then we played him 3 times in 1 year because we played him in the playoffs. I used to think, but what I think a Hall of Famer is, and what the voters think a Hall of Famer is, that's two different criteria. If we like, because it used to mean something. Well, if they don't like you, they say, well, you didn't win a championship or you didn't win enough. If they like you, rings don't matter. Because, and that's my thing. So now I'm getting to see that rings only matter to the quarterback. Any other position, because Terrell Davis is the greatest postseason back in history. It's not even close. And they say, well, he only played 7 years. Gail Sayers played 7 years. Earl Campbell played about 7 years.
To me, Terrell Davis is a Hall of Famer.
Most definitely.
My criteria is if I have to hesitate at all, you're not in the Hall of Fame. If I say Tom Brady, you're going to say Hall of Famer. Like you look at me like I'm crazy. even
Terrell
bringing it
Owens.
up. No.
Oh, come on. This is what I'm talking about. Come on, Skip. Don't
I
do
have
that.
lots of hesitation.
What are you basing off of? That is a personal
He made
decision.
it harder for 3 straight teams
Hall of
to
Fame.
win games.
Hall of
to
Fame
win
is about
games.
what you've done on the football field.
What you did in the
Period.
locker room and on the sideline
So
contributed to those
then
teams
everybody be in the
losing.
Hall of Fame if we
Losing.
worried about what they're doing inside the locker room.
How do we get on this topic? But go
I
ahead.
don't know,
go
but
ahead.
anyway, let's get back to you and these numbers. Look at them numbers. Look at them numbers.
The Hall of Fame jacket is how we
Yeah.
got on this
Look at those
topic.
766,
Yes, sir.
1159.
Talk to me.
Chad,
Yeah.
it's going to be tough, bro.
Why it's gonna be tough?
Because you're going to have the guys now, if you don't have 1,000 catches, they're not going to even think about you.
Okay.
Because
The thing is, I got those numbers without 1,000 catches. Keep going.
that's what I'm saying. But you only have 67 touchdowns.
What that mean? What you mean only? What you mean only? You know how hard it was for me to get 67 touchdowns?
How many years you play?
10.
My brother played 7 and got 65.
Who's your brother?
So
He played in the whole different offense, whole different system, whole different. Listen,
Yeah,
I played.
he
listen,
played when they didn't
I
throw the
played
ball.
in.
You
I
played in the
listen,
throwing era.
I
played in the throwing
I played in the
era.
hardest division in football during my tenure.
And they still threw the
Steelers,
ball.
Baltimore. What are you talking about? We were a balanced offense. What are you talking about?
Y'all threw the ball.
You ain't finna give me my phone. You ain't finna tell me I'm not Hall of Fame worthy. Child, please.
Child, please. I like it. You just got child,
No,
please.
but here's
Listen,
the
anyway, I see what you're saying. I understand it, but
I mean, look,
it is
with
what
the
it is.
way the numbers are, the way the numbers are going now.
Right.
You see Anquan.
The numbers
you
are
see
completely
Steve,
different.
Right,
The game is completely different.
but they're still.
I played in a head hunting era. I talked it, I walked it, and I backed it all up. Now, if that's not enough, if my numbers aren't enough, I didn't win any rings. Dude, I played this.
Ocho.
I'm not even gonna talk about
But here's the thing: you preaching to the choir. We ran the ball 52% of the time. We had TD. How many carries do a guy have to rush for 2,000 yards?
30.
To rush for 1,700?
30 a
To
game.
rush for 1,500? When you got two 1,000-yard receivers on outside of you. People don't factor, because this is what they do to me. This is what they told me. But you had John Elway. I said, well, then I went to Baltimore. I said, well, I won a Super Bowl without John. Well, you had the Ravens defense. I said, so I can't win.
Yeah.
See, if I win the Super Bowl, it's because of John. When I go to a non-offensive team and win one, it's because of the defense. So what do I get credit for?
You know what's not fair? The game is so watered down today with the rules and all the
It's
flags.
a totally different. It's a totally
Listen,
different game, though.
When we were playing, when you were playing, when I was playing, I was in that era where they could actually play football. They can actually play defense. I had to think twice about going across the middle where Ray Lewis and Sean Taylor and Ed Reed and Troy Polamalu.
Yes.
Like they can actually get up there and play bump and run and put their hands on you and hold you and grab you with Ty Law and oh, dude. Now it's like it's so easy. It's like it's a passing league, and now the DB can't even touch you.
And you can't hit the quarterback
even do
because there was
nothing.
nothing sacred about the quarterback. You could hit the quarterback in his knee,
Yeah.
in his head, in his throat, in his eye, and there was nothing you could do about it. It's a different game now.
Here's my issue with
The celebration.
most of your celebrations, but certainly your Hall of Fame mock jacket. You're telling those voters that you belong, and it's presumptuous because you haven't earned it yet.
I'm telling
okay?
them.
You were telling them that night. Was that a Monday night?
But
or?
what I was doing was basically saying I don't really need your validation. Whether you put me in or not,
Okay.
I'm good. I'm gonna be good whether I'm in or not.
You're
you know,
damaging your chances with the voters.
It's okay.
In all of your celebrations, as clever as they were, and I told you, I love the river dance. Heck, I love Tiger Woods putting. But after a while, it's look at me. It's not being a united member of the team.
I was a member of the team.
Yeah, I know you were, and they all loved you to a degree. But after a while, you set yourself apart because you had to celebrate by yourself. And again, I loved what Ezekiel did. I told you to start the show. I was conflicted because it was clever and it was a charity that he has participated in.
Right.
As late as last week, he made an appearance for Salvation Army.
Right.
So my point is that I'm conflicted, but in the end, to your point, you can't say, yes, he can do it, because then it might be a parade of players to the
Not really. 'Cause
cattle. They might all be
Everybody
jumping.
doesn't have the personality or really want to do that. That's just not themselves.
But here's the thing, though. You know once you get a player, because what does a player do when he tackles Zeke for a negative yard?
They do something.
You start doing this.
Start doing
And
this thing.
so now, if they play in Dallas, if somebody scores the touchdown in that end zone, you know they're going to get in that kettle. They're going to get in the kettle.
Right, and he did not get fined. So
Right.
the NFL
And
isn't
so
going to
now,
fine them either.
what are you going to do? Because all the players are going to say, if you didn't find him, now you're going to have a problem.
No, you're right. Even this, what goes around comes around.
Yeah. No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. Come back tomorrow for more Undisputed when we welcome Chris Carter back in with us. We'll see you Tuesday.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.